Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I am Tobi, and in today's video I'm going to be answering a question I've been asked a lot lately, which is why do I still rent? So for context, I recently got a property, so I own a home, but at the same time I'm a tenant to a landlord. So it's like, why you still rent it? Why don't you just live there? Personally, for me, it just makes more sense for me to buy investment properties before my first residence, and I'm going to buy multiple investment properties before I buy my first primary residence. It just makes sense for my long-term goals, my strategy, and just what I want. I'm not against buying your house as a primary residence. It is something I would do in the future, but not at this moment or at this stage of my life. Right now I'm just focused on generating income, so I want to buy assets, income producing assets, which is why I am going with investment properties that are giving me positive cash flows. So my investment properties would always generate income for me, and yeah, that's like my major strategy right now. So that is why I would probably end up buying multiple residents or multiple investment properties before I even buy my primary residence. And one thing, or one of my major goals, is that I'll get to a point where my investment properties will end up paying for my primary residence. And at the end of the day, even for the mortgage, my primary residence mortgage, I'll be able to qualify more just because of the cash flow that I'm getting, or I'll be getting from my investment properties. So yeah, that's really the major reason. There are other things I would still mention, but that's the major reason. Personally, for me, I see your primary residence as a liability on paper. That is what I'll say. It may not look like a liability in other scenarios or other cases. It depends on how you want to look at it. But if you look at everything on paper and do the math, it may appear as a liability. So if I do the math, for me it would be a liability. I know your primary residence might appreciate or may appreciate after a couple years, but personally I don't count, or I don't depend on appreciation. I just want to see if it is taking my money from my pocket right now. And most times with your primary residence, you have to pay a mortgage, you have to pay property taxes, you have different expenses to pay for, so it is actually eating your money at that moment. So for me, it looks like a liability at this point in my life. Also, at this stage of my life, I'm not emotionally attached to the idea of having a home. I'm not chasing stability at this stage of my life, and it is totally understandable for people who are like married, who have a family. I understand that a lot of times they want to actually buy their primary residence, and it makes a lot of sense. For me, I'm just not at that stage yet, and there's no emotional connection with anywhere for me at this point. And it makes sense for some people at like different stages of life where they want that stability, they want a place to call home. And when I get there, then I'll get my primary residence. For now, I'm not there, so there's no rush or need to have like a home. I don't mind paying rent. I don't mind throwing away money. Since people think like paying rent is throwing away money, I don't mind that. The second major bucket or reason why is just flexibility and mobility. That's why I said I'm not looking for stability right now. I like being flexible. It's not even as if I've moved a lot. I've been living in this place I've been living in for the past, I think, 3 or 4 years now. I can't remember exactly. I don't move a lot. I'm that person that if I rent somewhere, I'm going to stay there for minimum 5 years before I move. I hate moving. But it's still that idea of knowing that I can move and leave this place whenever I need to. I can literally pick up my bags and leave this place. I'm not tied down to it. I don't need to think of the process of selling a house. I don't need to even think of the process of like looking at market conditions. I also live with my brother, so we split rent, and I know that the amount I pay for rent, or like my half of the rent, is cheaper than the amount that will be associated with the expenses of owning a home. This kind of brings me to my next point. It also offers me the opportunity to live where I want to live, just because of the affordability. So I'm in the GTA right now. I live in the Greater Toronto area, and I probably won't be able to afford a home here. I might be on paper, but it just wouldn't make sense to me at this point. I'm very conscious about the liabilities and the expenses, and I just feel like it would be an unnecessary expense for me and my goal. For another person, it might not be, but I'm not going to be paying like $3,000 in mortgage payments at this point, or $4,000 in mortgage payments at this point. It just doesn't make sense for me and for my goals, my financial goals and long-term plan and strategy. So I just feel like if I need to buy a home at this stage of my life right now, I probably won't live in the GTA. I'll probably have to move somewhere outside the GTA, or even move to like a different city or even a different province if I really want to buy a home and want to live in that home where it's like I'm not gaining income from that house, rather I am paying things off or it's coming out of my expenses. I just really like the idea of being able to live in a big city, or in whatever city I want to live in, without having to compromise. I like that I can live in a place like this and live the lifestyle I want to live. If I even want to move to downtown Toronto, it's just that renting there doesn't make sense to me at this point. As I mentioned, it doesn't make sense for my goals and future. That's why I don't even live in downtown Toronto. But if I want to live there, I know that I can rent rather than owning your home there. And just the cost of owning a home is significantly higher than renting, or even being able to afford a home there, because they look at down payment, they look at how much you're earning, and at the end of the day they might tell you that you qualify, but if you look at it, your own personal stress test, you actually shouldn't qualify for it. And I just don't want that pressure of having to be paying how many $1,000s at this stage of my life when I'm not even chasing that stability. I also like the cost effectiveness that comes with renting, because I actually did the review myself. If I'm to get a place in the GTA area, I'll be paying a lot of my income down on a monthly basis. I know some people say that your primary residence is an investment as well, but I want to be paying like, or spending 80% on a primary residence as my investment. I like diversifying and I want the opportunity to be able to invest in other things. So I rather it this way. With my rent and every of my monthly expenses, I still have a lot allocated towards other investments that has allowed me to buy investment properties, that has allowed me to even invest in stock markets, allowed me to even invest in startups. I want to do that as opposed to putting money down and investing in a primary residence as an asset. I just do not want that. So yeah, I just like the flexibility. I like that I'm able to be mobile. I like that I can live where I may not be able to afford. I might be able to afford it on paper, but I personally know I shouldn't be able to afford this, at least for the long-term goal I have. I have the opportunity to live here, chase my dreams in the GTA, and invest outside of the GTA. So right now I live in GTA and my investment property is actually not in the GTA, it's outside the GTA. So I invest where I can afford and live where I can't afford. And I think it's amazing when you look at the finances and how everything balances out. But yeah, to cut the long story short, that is why I still rent. My top priority right now is like buying multiple investment properties, and when it's time to buy my principal residence, I'll be able to qualify for more. I'll be able to have these assets pay for my principal residence, so I know that I can live a stress-free life as a homeowner. Let me know in the comment section, are you on the team that considers your principal residence an asset, or are you on the team that considers it a liability? For me, on paper, it may look like a liability, at least on paper for me. But I feel like it's not a black or white situation, and I think there are different reasons why people want to own a home, or why people want to buy a principal residence. Aside from like the financial aspect, or like seeing it as an investment, there are so many other reasons, like stability, having children, you want them to have a backyard, you want them to have a neighborhood that they know that they're going to be like staying there for like 10 years, or you grow up there, not the one that your landlord is selling the house and you have to move to somewhere else, or like look for rent somewhere else. I feel like there's so many reasons, but looking at it financially, do you think it's an asset or a liability? Let me know in the comment section. And I hope you enjoyed this. I'll see you in my next video. Don't forget to smash the like button for me, hit the subscribe button, turn on your notification bell, and leave comments. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.